So what's on the agenda today? You're speaking today at the Fuck Fox 4 rally. Or the, what is it called?
Fox 4.
Fox 4, yeah.
Peaceful protest. This time actually really peaceful, not the CNN peaceful protest type, you know, where people burn down buildings and loot and riot. We actually doing a peaceful protest.
So what's this about? Who's putting this on?
So, Fox 4, I don't know if you guys know what happened, but basically there was a big event. It was a very nice event organized by DJ Dabs Corey. It was a charitable event. It was a huge event, huge success, a lot of charity. It was covered by Fox 4, and well, instead of doing the full coverage of the event and showing how successful it was, they
resorted to do what they always do, and basically tell you half the damn story or something.
Yeah, not only that, they obviously twisted it with their own agenda and said that the event, they called people super spreaders, basically. Super spreaders. See who super spreaders are of fake news, right?
Oh, God.
But, yeah, so this is one of the reasons for the protests. And I mean, I think it's time for people to start going out there and speaking out, because for the past 4 years, we heard nothing but fake news from all of the angles. And enough is enough.
Yeah. You know, they got to do a lot better job. There's no doubt about it. It's so damn blatant. Everybody gets it now. I mean, even the people on the left, they totally get it. Yeah, they're just being fed, you know, half the story. Or a story that, you know, really has absolutely nothing to do with what the headline has to say it does. You know, it's all about clickbait. It's all about getting people's attention to look over here and then, you know, feed them some other crap. You know, I can tell you, you know, Fox 4 is probably one of the better stations from my personal experience. I think they're all, you know, crap. There's no doubt about that, including the news press. I mean, I saw on Facebook the other day, the news press was advertising $1 for 3 months subscription to the newspaper.
Wow.
I mean, that tells you right there, nobody pays attention to that crap anymore.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what they're really geared up for, is to try and just feed you the narrative that they're looking for. They don't want to tell you the whole story. They only want to tell you half the story. And the story that they want to tell you, you know, really isn't accurate to begin with. You know, so I think these people getting together and pushing back a little bit, man, I'm all for it. You know, I'm all for it. You know, I was real happy to see another one that went off a few months ago. There were some people that went and organized a rally against the fake news ABC 7 and NBC 2 over at Waterman Broadcast. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Brendan Leslie, he's speaking with you today. He spoke at that event. You know, Alfie Oakes, he spoke at that event over there too. They did a protest of media right in the parking lot. They actually had 2 Fort Myers police units there, sitting in the parking lot because they were, you know, afraid. You know why they're afraid? Because they know they're fake news. They know they're up there telling bullshit lies, and they know that's why people are starting to they're not putting up with this crap anymore. I think you're going to see a lot more and more of these little media protests pop up all around the country at the news stations. You know, that one over there on Central Avenue, I thought was the first one that I've ever seen. But hell, I've only been, you know, involved in politics for a little over a year. I don't know, maybe they happen a lot often, you know, than I'm aware of, but I think I would have probably found out if they did. But, you know, good for everybody that's getting up and going and doing that, because I think that's what you're going to have to do, is take the message directly to their front door. That's what Donald Trump did to them, and that's why they don't like it. That's why they're pushing back on that guy, because that, you know, they know that he's their biggest threat, you know. And once the people out here start organizing and going over there and start doing this, hell, even on a weekly basis, they're going to get tired of it. I guarantee you they are.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's time to speak out. It's, you know, it's for Republicans out there, for conservatives, for people on our side. I want them to see Donald Trump as an example of what the fight stance is supposed to be like these days, because you can't ignore things anymore. You have to call them out. You have to face them head on. Enough. We can't just sit there and pretend like it's not happening. The Washington Post the other day, 5 days ago, they put an article. It went basically saying that the whole world looks at America with dread and whatever, as we here celebrate the Thanksgiving. So
Right.
we're gathering with our families, and these idiots in the Washington Post, they're telling us that the whole world is what. Well, you know what the whole world is thinking? The whole world is watching idiots like Dr. Fauci lie about the lockdowns, about the face masks,
Yeah.
and they're sitting on the lockdowns, they're sitting with their face masks on, none of them which work.
Yeah. You know, Fauci, that guy, man, Jesus Christ. I think that guy's just in it for the attention now. He's got the media bug or whatever it is. He's a celebrity.
Yeah.
That guy, you think he wants to go back over there and start breaking down microorganisms and bullshit? Hell no. At least I know I wouldn't. But, you know, I think he's got a taste of the limelight, and he's like, yeah, man, let's keep this thing going.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the other day, Dr. Fauci, he had a... I feel bad calling him doctor.
Yeah.
Freaking moron.
Yeah.
He
Disrespect real
he
doctor.
had a FaceTime chat with another idiot, Zuckerberg, right?
Oh, God.
Freaking Facebook guy.
Oh, they're colluding, probably.
Right. Oh, yeah.
you wouldn't
They're
know,
definitely on the same page as these guys. But they're having a FaceTime, right? Conversation.
Yeah.
And they're both wearing masks.
Oh,
I was like,
so stupid.
I was like, all
You
right.
see, that's the media
Right.
control right there. That's the bullshit that the media is going to come after from day one, or since day one they've been coming after that. They're in mind control. That's their business. The 24/7 media is their business. If they're not up here talking about something, then you're out doing something else. You're watching another channel. You're watching Lifetime. You're watching a Trump rally. You're watching Firearms with Frank. You're watching all kind of bullshit. But you're not in front of them. They're not controlling the message. That's what they're after.
Yeah.
That's all they're after, is mind control. I see that you did a lot of studying on psychology. Tell me about your background on that.
Well, the psychology, I was always interested in human psychology. Interests me to see different, the way the society works, because the society is a whole. It might be a whole separate organism, but it consists of each individual, right? As we are, as little small groups, our families, our neighbors,
Our
and
pods.
how we interact with each other. And it's really interesting to see where humans are. There is a whole theory in psychology. It's called the theory of self-actualization, basically where human is really actualized. They found their own purpose, right? They found their calling. They're living their life. They're enjoying their life. And it's interesting for me to see different societies where people actually can experience it and they can be actualized. And I'm coming from the country where we don't have that.
Right.
We don't have people that experience freedom. We don't have people that I can say, this guy right there, he understands what freedom is. He lives his life. He's not afraid to speak up. He's not afraid to be who he or she really is. Mm-hmm. We don't have that because communism, it breaks people. And I don't want that to ever happen here. And we see a lot of people on the left, they fell for it. And a lot of Republicans who are not willing to take action, who are scared to take action, they are slowly falling under this oppression regime. And
Mind control.
yeah,
That's all it is.
exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. And we have all of these different areas, right? We have education, we have businesses, we have media, obviously, through which government takes more and more control. That's why Democrats, they want to take more control of
Healthcare.
big businesses. They want to take control of the healthcare, of education. They already have. Media, obviously, most of the mainstream media belongs to Democrats.
When you're up there pulling the strings, it don't matter.
Yeah.
You've got control. It doesn't matter what you're messing with. If you're pulling the strings, you're controlling all of it. Whether it is education or the financial sector, everybody gets guaranteed income. What? Guaranteed
Right.
income?
Wow.
Well, who the hell's paying for that?
Yeah. In USSR, during USSR, I still remember, I was like 5 or 6 years old, but I remember my father would come home with coupons, right? Because everybody was working for the government back then. There wasn't really like private or anything.
Yeah.
That's why you hear the term Russian mafia a lot. You know who those people are, Russian mafia? They're businessmen. They would bring stuff, t-shirts, clothes from other countries, and they would sell illegally because you can't sell it legally.
Okay.
That's why all of them are Russian.
Black market.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that they were actually doing the crime. They were just
Surviving.
traders. Yeah, selling stuff. But anyway, he would come home with those coupons, right? Not the actual money, but the coupons. Everybody would get equal amount of coupons. And you would go, you would stand in line, bread lines, that's where it comes from, with your coupons. I myself went 6 in the morning, you go to the store,
Yeah.
it opens up at 8 a.m., but you stand there at 6 a.m. in the morning with a coupon to get a damn bread. If you're earlier there, you're lucky enough to get it. If not, it runs out, you know?
Yeah.
Because government provides everything, and obviously government cannot provide everything. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
That's what they want in our country.
that's what they want in our country, and it's really sad to see some people who have every chance, every opportunity to go out and work and make as much money as they want, be whoever they want to be, but they're lazy.
Yeah, people are comfortable. You know, we've talked about this once or twice. You know, shame on us. You know, shame on me. Shame on Frank. Shame on you watching this. You know, we sit here and talk about this all the time, but we'll never actually do anything about it. You know, the Second Amendment is there for a reason. You know, it wasn't just written down in a book. You know, 244 years ago. You know, it's there. It can be used today. You know, but I'm not too sure, you know, what our country's breaking point is. You know, is it going to come soon? Is it, you know, going to get better in our country? Are they actually going to have to take our guns away before people really start getting pissed off and pushing back on it? You know, I'm not real sure, but, you know, I think we have so many luxuries out here today, air conditioned, food.
Too comfortable.
You know, everybody's too comfortable, man. Everybody's got a nice vehicle. You know, everybody's got a nice house, you know, or at least, you know, something over their head for the most part. Not everybody does. Society has winners and losers. Get over it, you know. But I think, I don't think there's enough people willing to give up their luxuries, you know, for their freedom. You know, and until that day happens, you know, it's going to get even worse in our country before it gets better.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you see so many Republicans who are supposed to be on our side. That's why you see so many of them
but they don't
bending
fight.
over
Yeah,
for...
no shit. They don't fight, you know. And you know, I think eventually when people, you know, start watching these videos more and more and they're actually hearing what we're saying, you know, there's going to be a lot of Republicans that are going to be upset, you know, hearing all, you know, talking about resisting and pushing back against the government and stuff like that, you know. There's a big difference between being a Republican and being a conservative. You know, I think the conservatives in our country are, you know, the ones who are a little bit more passionate, I think, you know, about keeping it. I'm not saying that the other ones aren't. I'm just saying I think they're a little bit more appreciative of, you know, the history of everything and, you know, want to keep it pure. You know, I think the Republicans want to get along. You know, they want to, you know, have the same message and the same, you know, ideas and beliefs as the conservatives, but I just don't think they're willing to fight for it. You know, they're willing to fight for it up to a certain extent before it starts impacting them, and then they'll probably bow out.
Yeah, you can't get along with conservatives and at the same time try to get along with the left. You know, that's not how it works.
Right? Yeah, it's like
can't.
taking, you know, sleeping pills in the daytime.
Yeah, that's it. The days of, you know, JFK, they're over. JFK was, I think, in my opinion, was one of the last moderate left Democrats that still supported freedoms, that still supported Second Amendment rights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
After him, that's it. It just started getting worse and worse and more radical. And now these days we look at the stuff that they propose that they're trying to do. I mean,
well, fuck, he was assassinated. You know, I mean, you know, let's not get into that discussion. I mean, you got a lot of people to point the finger at that. You know, some say Russia. You know, some say Cuba. You know, who knows? Obviously, the guy was crazy, but you know, they took him out. You know, somebody did somewhere. Maybe they own CIA. You know, maybe the own government just got rid of it and said, hey, you know what? Here's when, you know, shit's really going to start hitting the fan. You know, who knows? Maybe the media knows who killed JFK. Maybe that's when they started colluding with the Democratic Party. Yeah. You know, because there ain't too many Republicans that just go out there and just start blasting people. You know, a lot of these shooters and stuff that they try and say are, you know, uber conservatives, white men and stuff like that. They're not really, you know, Republicans. They're generally Democrats.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, we see what's going on right now. The whole new Nazi community of Antifa and BLM.
Yeah, that's the violent sector
And that's
of it.
the irony, the organization, domestic terrorist organization, really, that is called Antifa. It's supposed to stand for anti-fascism, right? Are the fascists themselves, and it's crazy. And one thing that I wanted to point out with the media is that it's understandable, the ratings, right? Everybody's chasing the ratings. Everybody wants to be as they have that crazy story and stuff like that. That's why most of the stories you will see they're filled with hate. They're filled with fear, because that's what sells.
Everything.
They sensationalize. That's understandable.
Train wrecks.
But what is not understandable and should not be accepted in any way is the bias that the media has. They work with Democrats, but they create everything they can against people on the right, against Republicans, against people who love this country, the patriots, conservatives, and that's unacceptable.
The media has always been, leaning more democratic for a long time. I think they finally realized, decades ago, that there will always be one thing that they can keep the story going, and that's if they pit one side of our country against the other side. And they basically create and force feed a narrative. They generate the story. They create it. They're not reporting it. They create it. That's when it went from being a journalist, to being an activist. And I think that's what you see in a lot of today's society and the media specifically, is a lot of activism, versus actual journalism. If you can tell both sides of the story, that's great. Brendan Leslie does a pretty good job telling both sides of the story. I don't agree with some of the things that he says, but, he does report the other side. At least he does that, and I don't think he should give him a voice as much as he does, specifically some of the crazy local Democratic candidates. But good for him for doing that. That's what the media is supposed to do. They haven't done that in our country in a really long time, and I think people are starting to really get fed up with this bullshit. I really believe it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I come from the country where fake news is nothing new. That's all we had there is fake news.
Yeah.
For as long as I remember, because the media over there is a state media. It belongs to the government. Everybody knows that.
Right.
And all of the channels that we have, everything that they show on TV has to be approved by someone in the government before it goes out.
Yeah.
So everybody is already adjusted to it. So if you see on the TV, on the news, instead of the news, they show some kind of celebration, it means something terrible, something bad is happening somewhere in our country. Everybody knows that already.
Right.
But here, I think that concept might be a little bit newer here, and people are just now starting to realize. That's why one of the things that I wanted to do today during, our event, peaceful protest Fox 4, is to try to show that it can really be dangerous. Fake news, it can be dangerous. It sounds innocent, fake news. All right, you get a fake news, you read it, fake news. Man, that's stupid. No, it's not like that.
People believe that shit. There's so many sheep out there. These people believe this shit. I know one lady that comes up here to the corner store almost every morning for breakfast. And she comes up here, I watch CNN and MSNBC, and she's the sweetest little old lady. And she's just so uneducated. She's so poorly educated. She just doesn't know anything. She goes over and gets the damn newspaper, and goes to her table and sits down and just reads it. She's a sheep. She just basically believes all the media that they're putting out there. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. And it can be dangerous. It will be dangerous. Yeah. The longer it goes, you have people falling under all of this garbage that fake news are feeding us. Yeah. Especially with the bias that they have towards the left, and considering how crazy the left is these days, their agenda.
Yeah. And that lady there, you know why it's so damn dangerous? Because she's going to go out and start talking shit and talking to someone else and telling them the crap that she's been reading, all that fake news, and that's how that fake news spreads.
Exactly.
They start the indoctrination like that. They want you to start listening to their message and all this. Oh no, $15 an hour is great. You know what? I'm sorry. You know, these jobs, these low-paying jobs, minimum wage jobs, they're not careers. They were set up for specific reasons. You know, for young people to start out. You know, older people to have a supplemental income. You know, it's not a goddamn 4-year degree. You know, go out and do better. You know, don't you know, put your life's goal at a minimum wage. You know, do something, shoot for a little bit higher range than that. You know, but that's what the media wants. You know, and then they're going to come out here and they're going to take your guns away. It's all part of the process, man. It's all part of the process.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have any tiny little bit of doubt, just look at this year's pandemic. You know how much it was blown out of the proportion, that thing. How many things that
2 million people were going to die initially. Over 2 million people were going to die initially, and we had about 10% of that so far. You know what? 7, 8 months, 9 months into this thing, it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
These people don't know what's true, what's not true. They just want to sensationalize it, you know, and scare people and get them full of fear, because then they can control them a lot easier than they could, you know, sitting here trying to, you know, talk with them and have a better understanding.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, break down human psychology too with all of this 6 feet, stay home, save lives, cover your face with the masks. I mean, all of these things are. They're communist slogans. That's what I would see back in USSR, you know, years ago. That's how you break down human psychology, you know, because think about it. You have your neighbors. They tell you not to hang out with your neighbors, not to socialize with your friends, not to have family gatherings. And if you do, you have to stay 6 feet apart and wear a mask. And now you have this like this. You only see their eyes. You don't even know if they're smiling or if they're like, that's what they want.
Or we're going to send the police to ride around and see if there's big gatherings. And if so, we're going to shut your utilities off. They're trying to control everything. That's what their main goal is here. You know, it's not about getting along.
Yeah.
You know, those getting along days are about over.
More control. But the thing is, the government cannot handle more control. That's just the way it is. It never
they can't do with what they got now.
Yeah.
You know, why the hell would you want to give them more control?
Exactly.
So what happens on January 21st if Joe Biden is elected? What do you think the Antifa people are going to do? You think they're going to riot and shit or no?
I mean, Antifa, you know, obviously those organizations, we know they are sponsored by people on the left. They are encouraged by the people on the left, by the media.
Let's call them the anti-American left.
Anti-American left, exactly. Anti-American left, 100%. The thing that people have to understand whenever it comes to communism and socialism is that it is based on the Marxist theories. And the whole idea of the Marxism is that you have to have a breakdown of society before you can change at the core the whole system of the government.
Complete chaos.
Complete chaos, exactly.
You think there's chaos now,
exactly.
Burning buildings down, barricading people in buildings, executing law enforcement officers, on live streaming on Facebook?
Yeah, you wait until they take the guns away from people, and then they let those organizations like BLM and Antifa go free
have
around.
guns.
Exactly. And then they defund the police and and then that's how they come in. You know, they come in and say, you know what? You see all of this chaos? Give us more power. We will take care of that chaos. That's exactly what happened in USSR during the October Revolution. They started the chaos. And then they came into the power promising that they will stop the chaos, which they did because they had all the power. Back in USSR, there was no, you know, different parties, different powers that stand against each other. No. There was just the government. Government owned everything.
Bernie Sanders recently said, you know, the ideas that were radical just a few years ago are, you know, accepted in today's society.
Yeah.
Media control.
Exactly.
You know, several years ago, you know, he did real well for himself. You know, that's what he's really all about. I mean, let's be honest. The guy's got, I think, a beach house or two. you know, a bunch of cars and shit.
The guy who
Probably a
hates
jet
millionaires.
now. Yeah.
And the rich.
Yeah.
Oh, the evil rich.
Yeah. And he's living large.
All right.
You know, he came out and said, you know, hey, it was radical a few years ago, and it's now accepted. That's what it's really about, you know. That's what controlling the media, controlling the narrative gets you. You know, it gets you Joe Biden. You know, he got a nice beach house out of the 2016 election. You know, when he didn't concede to Hillary Clinton, she probably wrote him a check, paid him off. It's funny, you know. Speaking of that, real quick. How is the Clinton Foundation doing nowadays? I mean, those guys were pulling in hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars when Hillary Clinton was in office. And go back, I think in 2017, and look and see how much money their foundation rose that year, fundraised that year. It wasn't jack. It wasn't nothing. But look in 2016 when she was out running for office. Same thing with Joe Biden. It's all a sham. These guys have destroyed our country from within. We don't have to worry about Russia, you know, coming over here invading. China, it ain't going to happen. They're not going to come over here. We got too many crazy patriots. You know, they're going to pick up arms and get after it. We're going to go shake down the government here one day, coming. I promise you, it's going to happen if they keep going on the track that they're going at the federal level. People aren't going to put up with that shit no more.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I keep saying it again and again. People have to hold on to their guns. I still think a lot of people don't understand how important that right is to bear arms.
Yeah. That's the last one that you got.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, look at that shirt right there. That shirt says it all. That's freedom. You know? I mean, that's what that right there is the only reason why, you know, those guys were able to push back in the revolution, because they had access to weapons.
Exactly.
You know, they had to go steal them. They stole a bunch of them from the damn British. But you know what? They went and captured them, and they fought back because of that. If they didn't have those guns there, the game's over. We wouldn't even have a country. You know? Again, it comes back to, what's your breaking point? You know? What's your comfort level? You know? You ever going to give up that air-conditioned house, you know, to get out here and fight for freedom? You know, for another generation to have? Maybe your kids' kids? Your grandkids, your great-grandkids. Because I think at this rate, I don't know if our country's going to last a couple more generations. I mean, shit. Kind of see what's going on out in the middle of the street right now. All I got to do is turn on the media. You know, they're showing train wrecks left and right and calling them peaceful protests. But yet you get over here and you get a bunch of people over in an aircraft hangar, and, you know, they call it super spreaders. You know, you get people over here burning buildings and shit down. They call them peaceful protests. But they won't allow you to even go to church. You know, you can go out here and go to the strip club, but, you know, don't think about going down there to, you know, the local Rotary.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah, that's insane.
It is.
That's crazy.
Well, it's 1:10. I think me and Frank are going to go try and enjoy some more freedom and go to the gun range. Frank's got a big day. He's going to go speak over at the Fox 4 rally against Fox 4, fake news Fox 4. He's going to go over there, spit some game real quick, say what's up to DJ Tabs, give him a little support in his struggle for freedom and the right to have his story told in a proper manner. We're not looking for any special treatment. We're just looking for both sides of the story to be told. So I guess we'll see you on the other side.
Hell yeah.
See ya.